saying that my screen was locked, blah, 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 blah. But here we are, and I'm back. So I'm just going to wait for a few people to join. I'm going to wait a second here. It is currently March 24th, and I don't know. It's been a little bit over a week now since here in Los Angeles we have been in COVID-19 confinement. And every single day of that, I have been trying to get online with you guys and share watches and things like that. So let's just wait for some more people to join here. How's everyone doing today? Good, I hope. Okay, so let's start. I think we had a little issue here because I had an episode that was up and then it went down. Oh, there's everyone. Whoa, whoa, whoa. So many messages. There we go. It all came in really quick. Hello, Sunny. Hello, Watch Me Unboxing. Hello, William. Hello, Beal. Hello, everyone that's saying stuff here. Okay, so it's trying to stay sane, right? That's right, Buick boy. Someone said they wanted to start with a marathon. There's 2 marathons here. Which one do you want me to start with? Marathon A or Marathon B? By the way, okay, so were you guys notified about this new episode? Because I had to cancel one because of a screen issue and then I started again. If that was weird, let me know in the comments and I'll try to make that easier next time. Marathon B. Okay, so this is, I'm going to wind it up here. This particular marathon is known as the GPM, and that is the General Purpose Mechanical. This is one of those watches that is actually supplied to soldiers and various types of service professionals around the world. And there have been various versions of the GPM that Marathon has made. This is a slightly upgraded one. What makes it upgraded? Things like having a sapphire crystal. It's a relatively small watch. I think it's 35 millimeters or something like that. The case is, I love the case actual quality. I'm not sure what material it is. It's a form of a resin or like a carbon or something like that. Right? It looks nice. Dial is just nice and clear and easy to read. It's got the tritium gas tubes there. This particular model says U.S. government on there. They don't all have to say that, but they are selling them the U.S. government, so U.S. government wants their name on there. This particular version of the GPM has actually, I believe it's a Seiko movement in there. No, it's not PVD. It's actually, I don't think it's metal. I think it's like a carbon material. The case back is metal. But again, this is supposed to be like an inexpensive soldier's watch. But there's a lot of great detailing in here. I want to show you something specifically here. So look at the hardware. This has a NATO-style strap, and the hardware, which is actually fantastic. It's nicely cut, it's matte finished. But you see how this loop is taller than this one right here? Why do we think that is? Why does that make sense? That makes sense because as a NATO-style strap, there's the sort of like the loop back, if you want to call it that, where when you put the strap on, so let's put the strap on here, I'll show you what I mean. And then you got to thread it through 1, and you thread it through 2. And this is a true kind of NATO with the nylon. And then you have this excess part right here, and that doesn't look very good. Nobody wants excess parts. So what you do is you can, I actually like to go this way. You loop it back through the hardware here. I guess it's easier this way. And what Marathon did is make sure that this piece of hardware is tall enough to stick back. I love how I'm not even able to do it right now. Having like, well, the idea is that this piece of hardware is a little bit taller and can go ahead and make it so that you can stick the excess strap in there. This one, again, my wrist is quite small, and there's actually other ways of making it a little bit smaller, but that's the idea here. Oh, I'm sorry, there we go. I was trying to put through the wrong one. So the lower one is the higher one. Right? So the lower one is the higher, is the taller one. So what you do is you loop it back that way. So I was trying to do this one. And so you have you know, the clean look of the watch, but you can easily tuck in the excess strap right here. Yeah, so there's the 36 millimeter version of the Marathon. So it's actually delayed because of this entire coronavirus thing, but there is a new version of, a new automatic version of the 36 millimeter diver coming out soon that will debut here on aBlogtoWatch. This is a little bit smaller. I'm trying to see if I have, I know I have one of the versions of the 36. So this is the quartz version. I actually happen to have this on my desk right here. This is the quartz version of the 36 millimeter wide diver. So you can see the comparison here. So the GPM is actually a little bit smaller. So this would be the MSAR, essentially, the medium search and rescue diver. This also comes in with a black dial mechanical. This is, again, the Swiss-made quartz. And I'm just sort of showing you for a little bit comparison. The GPM is significantly less expensive, has a little bit of a different look to it, but I love it. Sapphire crystal, tritium gas tubes in the hands and the hour markers, and it's a specially regulated Seiko automatic movement in there. These are Swiss-made. So Marathon is a company that is based in or near Toronto, Canada, but they have a facility that they own in La Chaux-de-Fonds in Switzerland that they make their watches. The toxic symbol, well, the reason behind that is because tritium gas tubes have a form of radioactive gas inside. It's pretty safe, but it's technically in there. And so there's a requirement where everything that has a radioactive material in there has to have an indicator, like a warning. I don't know all the details, but that's my understanding of why that indicator is there. It's because of the radioactivity of the tritium inside of the gas tubes. Yeah, so this one might be about 34, 35. You can go to the Marathon website and check, but it's a very tall watch. So I'm gonna wear the MSAR, which is 36, and then you can see the different size. So that's 36 on the wrist. It's actually a nice size. I prefer a little bit bigger watch, but proportions are great. If you're into 36 millimeter wide watches, this one's really great. Okay, so they use a bunch of different movements. So the Seiko movement is specifically used in this model. This is a non-Swiss made one because it doesn't have a Swiss made movement for price. Remember, this is purchased by this is purchased by U.S. government and other governments like Canadian government for infantry. So they're trying to keep the costs low. So the Seiko movement is designed to make it so that these are a little bit more affordable to be purchased in bulk. But this has a Swiss-made movement in there for sure. And then what I'll also show you is, this is one of my favorite ones. It's so beautiful, and I can't wait till the bracelet comes. This is the GSAR. So this is a 40 millimeter wide Marathon. And this is the anthracite version. Good morning, Adrian. So the anthracite version, yeah, 36 is very, William says that 36 is very comfortable, and it is. So this is the only version they have right now in the all black, and they did a great job. And what I love about this is, actually, let me find a non-PVD coated one just for some comparison. 1 second. What's the latest? What did someone say? Is what Richard asked? Is it thick? Is what thick? The watch? Yeah, I mean it's a little on the thicker side, but it has this distinctive bezel that's made to be held with gloves. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to show you, this is what they call the gray maple. And you can see that even though it's the same watch, there's little differences on the dial. This one says U.S. government on there. This one does not. And what I want you to pay attention to right now is the fact that the dial here has a black flange ring, which makes it look a little bit larger and a little bit spacier. Yep, there's some G-Shocks back there. I can get to that. And this one, because it's just sort of the natural steel, that color there. So this dial looks bigger than this one simply because of the colors. The bezel, for example, also looks great because of the black color. Sorry, just to go run away and close the door for a second here. So let me put this one on here. Yeah, someone is commenting that Marathon watches are built well. They really are. First pick for the first G-Shock? I mean, how many G-Shocks has Casio made over this. So many, so many. I don't know where you'd start. I think you have to ask yourself, do you want digital? Do you want analog? Do you want a mix? I think that's a good place to start when asking yourself what your first G-Shock is. What kind of dial do you like? And they make them in every single kind of color. I'd start on the less expensive side. I mean, you can buy G-Shocks now for, I don't know, $7,000 more, some of the fancier limited editions. You don't really know how to appreciate that unless you've had like a $100 G-Shock. So I'd say start in the $100 to $200 range, and then you can go up from there and just find something that speaks to you. So again, this is the Marathon GSAR, which stands for General Search and Rescue in the Anthracite. I forgot the exact exact specific model name here. Someone's saying the DW5600. Yeah, the DW5600 is a great case. I was showing it the other day, but I'll pull out one version of it. So here's the green jelly version of the DW5600, which now has like a metal case version, but this watch was about $100. And this sort of squared shape just looks really, really nice. And so this is like a good place to start. If you're looking for features, I would make sure that your G-Shock, and you want to like get like the fancier stuff, solar power charging is a big one. I like that. And a lot of the modern ones now have connected functionality. So actually, let me take that back. If you want to start today with a G-Shock, try to find one that has solar and Bluetooth, or at least the Bluetooth, because it does a lot of cool stuff. Where the Pateks, Rollies, and things, and Audemars Piguets, there might be some Rolexes here. I'm not interested in featuring any of those watches. Audemars Piguet, Patek, things like that, those are lifestyle luxury watches. I'm personally not as interested in them because I like my watch to say something unique about me. And so many people are interested in those watches that they come with a reputation before them. You're really buying a brand. At that point, you're not buying something fun and expressive. And so for me, writing about watches and wearing watches and collecting watches is really a function of self-expression. And Rolex is a good watch, but when you wear a Royal Oak, it's just like, oh, there's another guy trying to look this way or that way. It's a fantastic watch, but as a collector, it doesn't personally interest me at all. I like things that are more distinctive, and I have to go with my heart. And what I do on aBlogtoWatch is try to show you interesting watches that are distinctive and that allow people to feel very emotionally connected to them. So anyways, this is an interesting aftermarket G-Shock. And what you can see here, this is from a company in Hong Kong called Alvarez, and they are machinists with carbon and carbon fiber materials. And so what they did here is they took this watch and they removed the original stock Casio resin case, and they created themselves sort of like the same exact version with slightly different branding on it because it says Alvarez, which is in carbon. I thought that was really, really cool. Someone is saying that I think Rolex or Royal Oak luxury stainless steel sports watch. Yeah, I mean, again, we are in an era right now that for the next few years, I don't think we're going to have as much of a show off culture. I think that's going to be frowned upon. I think it's great to have a nice watch, and it's lovely to have something which is expensive and shows that you're successful. But I have a feeling that the sort of show off culture, the me too, I'm rich, the look, I have the hot stuff, I see that on its way out. And I know that Instagram and YouTube is just full of people talking about the same watches again and again and again, but I am allergic to that. If there's a watch that too many people like, I don't care about anymore. I really value distinctiveness and originality and talking about something that other people aren't talking about. I just don't care. I simply don't care. Another Royal Oak, great watch. I don't care. Been there, done that, don't care. This is the latest generation Mudmaster. I like this one quite a bit. This is, okay, so the only drawback of this watch is the fact that this is just over $300, so this is quite affordable. And this one has the Bluetooth connectivity. The problem with this one is it doesn't have solar power generation, which is fine, but I'd like that. That's all I'd want. There are more people into G-Shock than any other brand. Yeah, we get more, we get more requests for G-Shock. We get great, traffic when we talk about Casio and things like that. This one has their new carbon core guard. I love how I just combined that. Carbon core guard. And you can see that the case is light, and rather than having the traditional metal case back, so here's an older generation G-Shock. This is actually a quite expensive watch. This was, I think, one of the Gravity Masters. This was about $800 or $900. Was this one of the GPS ones? I believe it may have been. Yeah, this is one of the GPS ones. This is one of the second or third generation ones. Yes, William, thank you. Well, it's not about unloved watches. It's really about ones that you don't know. It's about discovery. It's about the underdog. I mean, I specifically like to find, because there's so many good watches out there, and just liking what's popular, what's the interest in that? Where's the intellectual side of that? I mean, it's literally, it takes the brain power of going and standing in line. Oh, there's a bunch of people standing in line. I'll go stand in line as well. That's the brain power required to say, I want a Rolex, I want an Audemars Piguet, I want a Patek Philippe. They make some great watches, don't get me wrong, and choosing one of them is hard, and they're in demand. Oh, I'll tell you something. If you're interested in a 5711, prices are going down. So the 5711 is the Patek Philippe Nautilus in steel with the blue dial. It's that one that everyone wants. It has like a retail price now of, I think it's like $40,000. Patek will hate me for saying this, but I've reviewed the 5711, and I put a number on that watch, and it's a certain price that I won't pay more. So I feel that watches like the Nautilus is like somewhere between it's like a $15,000 watch. That's what I think it costs. And so when people charge $50,000, $80,000, people were spending up to $80,000 or $90,000 on a watch that has a retail price of $40,000. Forget that it had like a decade-long wait to it. But it's like, at that point, like, what are you buying? You're just buying the fact that you're like, oh, I could buy this. This was popular, and I just spent all this money on it. Like, that's not watch collecting. That's something else. That's something else entirely. I really liked this generation when this watch came out. Unfortunately, it didn't have the Bluetooth connectivity and some of the cool apps. Actually, this did have an app. But there's some of the newer ones have done this a little bit more elegantly. But I love the design of this. This is one of the all analog G-Shocks that I like. And even though it's big, it's so freaking comfortable. Typical answer from someone that can't obtain a 5711. Anyways, the point I was trying to make is that the dealers I've been speaking to are saying that prices are going down. And that's a good thing for all those people out there that do want one and find it difficult to go ahead and get one. It's a fine watch. Actually, between the Nautilus and the Royal Oak, I'm more of a Royal Oak person myself, but that's just a personal design matter. Some of the swoopy lines on the Nautilus just don't do it for me. It's a fine watch. I like it, but again, at those price points, it's just about being a show-off watch. Oh, somebody wants to see the octopus. This is a rare one. Somebody asked about Linda Werdelin the other day, and I was like, okay, I'll pull one out. Someone asked me if I believe that collecting 5 identical Pateks is a good strategy for watch collecting. I guess if you have 5 friends and family members that you would all love to be wearing the same watch at the same time, then yeah, go ahead and get 5 of them. I don't know why you'd need 5. I mean, it's a lot of money. I mean, if you want to keep them to sell them later, I don't know. I mean, I've never heard of such a thing, but I have just advocated for doing original things other people don't do. So go ahead and try it. So this was the Octopus 2, and this is the big date version of it. I think they came out of the moon phase afterwards. This is from the original collection of them. This has a titanium case, which is very nicely made, and a ceramic bezel there. There's the case back, which is an octopus. Yeah, I brought my Joker out as well. This was a nice watch. I think there was an actual issue with the big date mechanism, and I actually had to have this watch go to a watchmaker to fix the big date mechanism. Anytime you have a company that makes some original parts where it's not like a stock thing, then you sometimes have issues. So what you see here is Linda Verdelin, they took out the stock discs that would have been part of the big date mechanism, and they made their own discs that are sort of like skeletonized and transparent. And I think that because of that, there were sometimes issues in the date change. But this was a great watch. This was one of the limited editions. This one sold out a long time ago. Big Zebra wants to show the marathon. Oh, you must have missed the beginning. I went over 3 or 4 different marathons here. Which one do you want to see? There's like literally 4 on the table here. What are my thoughts on Linda Verdelin as a company? They're still kicking. I've known the founders, and they're all very nice people. They were sort of an early to the game with a sort of online concept. They had some hits and misses. I mean, I think the problem is a company like that was assuming that people were going to be less price sensitive, and then people got way more price sensitive. The Joker next. Okay, so let me just show people. Oh, someone wants to see the gray NATO, I think. The gray NATO. The gray maple. I confuse that because James is from Canada as well. Linda Verdelin broke up. I keep getting emails from them. They're sort of still around. Oh, you mean the guys, Morton and Jorn? Yeah, I think I heard that as well. I know that Jorn is still in the game. This is the G-SAR. And then what I was also showing was the version of the G-SAR in black here, the anthracite one, which I think is amazing. Okay, so someone is saying that the 3-timer... Yes, the 3-timer was cool. They made certain versions of it, but can you believe that design is like, I don't know, 15 or 20 years old at this point? But the 3-timer was a nice watch. I remember that one of the first high-end watches I reviewed back in 2007, 2008. All right, I'm gonna go homage vintage watch. Adrian's asking. Yeah, the black marathon's cool. I like homage vintage watches as long as it's, well, it's a qualified I like. It depends on the situation. They can be great. They can be great. I'm going to pick up this watch. This is, I think this is one of the titanium versions of the Victorinox, the Victorinox Swiss Army Inox Diver Professional or Professional Diver. Yeah, there is a Unimatic there. That's right. You caught that. I love Swiss Army Victorinox. The Inox collection has so many different watches in it. The divers are certainly really great. This is sort of the white and titanium one. It is a quartz watch, but honestly, don't fault it for that, because I think that quartz watches are really practical a lot. You don't have to remember about setting them, and they're obviously a little bit more accurate. So I thought this one was really nice. And for the money, they just do a nice job. Victorinox, talking about underdogs and unloved watches. This isn't the first Victorinox that I brought out on the show. Someone is asking me again what my wrist size is. I'm not really sure. I've actually given the measurement before, and then someone sends me a watch doesn't fit. I think it's like 6.75. I could measure sometime. They're not big wrists. This watch is 45 millimeters wide. I'll tell you that. And the standard Inox is, I got to pull some out. I don't know where they are. I have a few of them. The standard one's like 43. The diver was really my favorite. Look, I mean, I'm not bothered by quartz either. It's hard because what happens is that sometimes quartz watches have less expensive cases, dials, hands, and straps. And so it's not just about the movement inside, it's a whole thing. And so for me, when I look at quartz, I say, are they cutting corners? Because mechanical watches, since they charge more, they put more effort into all the other corollary things, like I said, the hands, dial, case, strap. So finding what I call high-end quartz that are making sure that it's a high-quality experience, plus having the practicality of quartz, those watches are a little bit rare. They're not uncommon, and honestly, the Japanese make most of them. So to find the Swiss ones is challenging. I mean, this is a Swiss-made product. It has a Swiss quartz movement. Have ever seen the Minotaur and the Pale Moonlights? Okay, all right. Somebody wants to see the Joker. I get it. Okay. So this is the Konstantin Chaikin Joker. Konstantin Chaikin is a very talented, self-taught, autodidactic Russian watchmaker in Moscow. And the Joker came out as really one of his sort of like less expensive ones. We'll talk. People are so many comments. Someone's asking, how's aBlogtoWatch doing? Am I doing a lot of consulting? Okay, yeah, I mean, I am doing consult. Look, aBlogtoWatch is great, but we're in a crisis right now for luxury. Brands are not, they have a lot of things on hold. Traffic is pretty good right now. A lot of people at home don't have too much to do, are looking online, reading about watches. We're doing okay. It's just a matter of making sure that, our clients and everyone can pay the bills. I do a fair amount of consulting. I enjoy it. But, I'm an American, and a lot of these brands, there's a cultural barrier to listening to people who are not from their backyards. Do I think SIHH and Basel will be corona fatalities? No, it's all going to come back when this is done. The watch industry will bounce back. I mean, look, this was a very unhealthy industry to begin with. Dysfunctional would be the least the least insulting way of referring to the watch industry. And I've been seeing it for years. When I first got in the watch industry in 2007, and then by about 2010, I had more or less identified like a lot of strange things in the industry, and I've written about them. And I tried to call the industry out on a lot of systemic problems that they didn't really listen to until it was too late. And going back over the years thinking about it, why the industry didn't necessarily listen to a lot of my advice was, one, I don't think they knew that I knew what I was talking about. And two, I always advocated for the most expensive option. I was like, you need to invest in advertising over the long run. You need to actually make advertising campaigns that are directed towards people. So everything that I said required time and money and effort, which apparently they didn't like doing. And so what I saw a lot was the watch industry trying to take the cheap way out as much as possible. So let me talk about this Joker a little bit here. Sorry, you guys are asking some great questions. I'm just trying to keep up with talking about watches and looking at everyone's great comments. So this is a specific version of the Joker that was made for me. So this isn't one you can buy. And there's a couple of cool little features here. Oh, Han is asking if there's any regular commenters out here. That's actually a good question. Are you some of the same people that will comment on the aBlogtoWatch.com website? Is the YouTube audience distinct? So the Joker, the whole point of the Joker was a module on top of a ETA movement, and the module took the time and the moon phase and created a face out of it, which was very clever. So I'm going to adjust the time here so you can see what it looks like. We have minutes here and then hours here. And as the time moves, the eyes move and you get all these wonderful face expressions. And then the moon phase, which operates as the tongue, also moves over the course of the month. So you have all this great sort of effect. Oh, hey, Ulysses31. Good to hear from you. The ear, so to say, is actually a small inset pusher here, and that adjusts the moon phase. If you're curious about the things that were distinctive for me, I can point them out here. So if you remember on the bezel, this is the steel version. They also make some titanium. I wanted steel because it holds up a little bit longer. And there's usually like little playing card indicators, but I actually had them put my last name, so it says AD, or it starts here, Adams, ADAMS. So I thought that was cool. Different colors, obviously, so the dial color is a little bit different. And then I had some unique markings on the back here. I always look at these watches, and I look at the limited editions or the ones that are made for someone, and I always feel like there's a missed opportunity to say something interesting on the back. So I went here and I had I was like, make a bunch of different messages. So one of the things that I thought was important was to celebrate the fact that this watch was made in Moscow. What some people may not know is I personally visited the Constantine manufacturer in, I want to say 2012 in Moscow. Yes, that says "From Russia with Love." So I specifically wanted the statement to say "From Russia with Love" in Russian. And then there's a couple of other things around here that I thought would be interesting for me to look at years from now. And if you see here, I say custom made for Ariel Adams. And then it says the date. This was 2018 by watchmaker Konstantin Chaikin. So I wrote all that text to put it on there. I just thought it would be interesting. Someone's asking me if I'm going to be at Microlux in May. now that it's been postponed. Microlux is a show that is celebrating its third iteration in Los Angeles. It was in Los Angeles, then Chicago, and then back to Los Angeles, and it was supposed to be in April. It has been delayed for obvious reasons. aBlogtoWatch is the media partner, and to make a long story short, we don't know when the show will go on, but I will be there. Somebody is claiming refugees. Someone's talking about Unimatic. All right, anyway, so I'll talk about Unimatic next, I guess. So this is the Constantine Chaikin Joker, I'm sorry. Great watch. I don't know if you can find these anymore. He had like a limited edition. I was really happy to get one of these. And I love Constantine Chaikin. He's such an intelligent man. He's such a sweet man. What a lot of people don't know is that, at least until last I checked, he was also the president of the AHCI, which is a really prestigious organization for young watchmakers and various types of people that are wanting to make money and business as being an independent watchmaker. So he does a good job there. Okay, Unimatic. This is an Italian watch company that makes dive watches, and they have a SpongeBob one that they came out recently with that I was very happy about. I love SpongeBob. I'm a big SpongeBob fan. I hope it comes out sometime. I actually worked with Constantine Chaikin on a SpongeBob version of the Joker in a square case. We actually made some mock-ups and things like that, which is really cool. So if I get my way, there'll be a SpongeBob Joker or a Constantine Chaikin SpongeBob or whatever. I mean, yeah, people are asking a lot of questions about the watch shows and things like that. Will be pushed. I mean, look, we don't know at this point. We just don't know. So this, I forgot the name of the specific Unimatic, but what I liked about it was the fact that they sort of took this, Rolex Submariner style dial. They played with it a little bit. They channeled a little bit of the inner Bamford. And what they did is they made the hour markers sort of like stencil style. And to make sure that it wasn't like a one-to-one copy of the Rolex, you can see that the 6 o'clock hour marker, rather than being vertical, is horizontal, which is a little thing here. This is a 40 millimeter wide watch, has a Seiko movement in there. How's the quality? Not bad. I mean, again, this is a sub $1,000 watch. So it's hard to say exactly. If it's good quality, because I think you can get similar quality for less, but not as sort of nice design. So I think that it's sort of like look at Unimatic as being like it's more expensive than your standard like diving watch homage to a Submariner, but it's less expensive than a lot of sort of the fashion diver watches out there. I love the sterile bezel that just has one marker on there. Not super useful, but it looks real great. This watch, I don't know if this came on a bracelet. I know Unimatic has a stainless steel bracelet, but the companies don't like making black bracelets. And the reason for that is they cost so much more money, because every single individual link has to be coded, and that's very expensive and takes a lot of time and effort. So that's one of the limited edition Unimatics. How much was this limited to? I forget. 200 pieces. So this is a version of the U1. I think it was like the EMWN or something like that. But yeah, this was limited edition to 200 pieces. Yeah, you can spot a Unimatic from quite far away. That is certainly sure. I like this watch. I don't wear it as much as I could, but I like it. I think it's nicely done. Strap is a little bit basic, but again, this is a nice watch. Here's a watch that costs several times as much. This is the company Dubois. I think it's Dubois and C. Or it feels. Dubois it feels. Basically about the same thing. This watch came in a few different colors as well. Nice ETA movement in there, nicely decorated. I was kind of attracted to this for the sort of the panda style look. This is not a retro homage, but it definitely looks like an older watch. Strap was a little bit long for me, but this was a nice watch. Kind of pricey, but definitely a nice watch. The stock ETA movement, but of course there's a module on there for the chronograph and for the big date. What's on my list to get? Boy, I don't know if people are buying a lot today. before all of this craziness started, I did buy a watch that's coming in, and I'm looking forward to showing it to you. But I'm not sure what I want to get next. I mean, there's a lot of deals to be had right now. I always have this like list of watches that I'm always thinking about buying, but I'm afraid to tell people because I'm like, they'll go buy it out from underneath me. So I'm quite secretive when it comes to the watches that are on my list to get, to be honest. I mean, I'd love to hear from all of you. What is on your list to get next? What do I think about Moser? I like Moser a lot. I think that one of the problems with Moser is that they sometimes use crystals that are have a little bit too much glare, and I'm sensitive to that. So I keep telling them, your movements are great, your dials are great, your cases are great, but you need a little bit more AR coating, and they hear it. Buick Boys asked me if I like Zodiac. Yes, I talked about Zodiac, I think, yesterday or the day before. So speaking of sort of retro homage, this is an Eterna, which is currently in hibernation. And this was the limited edition remake of sort of what they call the IDF watch, which is stands for Israel Defense Force. And there was they made a lot of military watches, and this was sort of a famous one that the IDF had in the 70s. And then Eterna remade it as a limited edition. Can you show the stainless steel watch with the white face under the red band? I'm not sure which one they're talking about. We'll figure it out. So this one was cool because we worked with Eterna. This is actually not the bracelet it stock comes with. This isn't a Eterna bracelet, but a different one, because this watch came with a really, really retro style bracelet. But we had these made specially for the team here. So you can see here, it says The War of Baselworld 2016. And then what does it say here? It says General Ariel Adams. So what we did is, Eterna still had some of these that they hadn't sold yet. And what we had done is we did a deal with them, and they took some of these watches and they made various ones for different parts of the aBlogtoWatch team. So the statement on the side here would have been different. And I didn't choose this. Someone chose General Ariel Adams for me. But the joke was that these watches were celebrate getting through a war, the War of Baselworld 2016. Look, Admiral Adams works as well. I will have faux military titles given to me on other watches. Don't you worry. Don't you worry. Do I have an eye patch? I can wear an eye patch. I do prefer having stereoscopic vision, but why not for comedic effect? I have some other Eterna watches that I'll show. There's my my Eterna Super Kontiki Diver. Is it difficult for a famous guy like you to access the luxury brands? I meet with those brands all the time. I mean, there's a lot of pretense there. It's a lot of pomp and circumstance. It's a lot of games. They're trying to sell to insecure rich people. Okay, mark my words. Most luxury brands make their money by selling to insecure rich people. Okay, there's the secure rich people that just like watches, but the numbers of people that are wealthy and legitimate, like watch collectors, is less than the people who are wealthy and insecure and want a product that makes them look wealthy or cultured or accomplished or whatever. And so when you meet with the brands that cater that audience, that's their whole spiel. And I'm allergic to that. I just don't care. I just don't care at all about that stuff. Did someone want to see this? Is this what you wanted to see? This is the Quartz Marathon MSAR. I was just sort of showing this for size. The cancellation of Geneva Watch Days will be inevitable. I mean, look, they rescheduled for August. I think it's a pretty safe time. I mean, look, if the world isn't back up and running by August, we've got more problems than when are we going to see the next watches, to be honest. This is from a small U.S. brand called Vero. I believe this watch was called their SS, I think. And this is a Portland style. Portland-based watch company. They don't make their own movement. I think they had Loom Tech, that's based out of Ohio, help them out here. But I like these small American brands. My favorite micro brand. There's so many, and remember, I don't choose favorites. I think choosing a favorite is a very limiting thing. We don't actually have to ever choose favorites. Arguably, your spouse is a favorite that you have to choose. But other than that, like, do we really need to choose favorites? Favorite watch, favorite meal, favorite restaurant, favorite city? This all seems very artificial. Oh, I see what you're talking about. You're talking about the Carla Bucherer. I will get to that. This is pretty nice, I think. I think they did a good job. It's a silicone strap. The strap is fine. It's not the most fancy thing in the world. It fits nicely though. A little high in the glare, but I thought this was nice. I thought they did a good job here. This watch was about, you know what? I don't remember honestly. I want to say about $1,000 for the Vero, but I think someone should go to their website and remind me. Nice people though, really nice people. I don't know what's going on with them now due to the crisis, but I like their watches a lot. Good stuff. Okay, so someone want to talk about this watch. This is a version of the Carla Bucherer Monero. I forget the exact version of this, but this is a great watch because it contains their A2000 in-house made movement. I think this is the 43 millimeter version. There's also a 40 or maybe a little bit less, but the same watch is created in two sizes, and it's very, very difficult to determine which is which based upon the website. Someone's asking me if I prefer ETA over Solida. Don't care. Super doesn't matter. Really doesn't matter. What is the better strap, natural rubber or synthetics? I've seen horrible rubber straps. I've seen amazing rubber straps. What I can tell you is that the material alone is not enough to go by. You need to go by multiple things, and so it's more than just that. So the A2000 is a great movement. It's based upon the A1000, and this was the first modern watch with a peripheral automatic rotor. So if you can see, there is a small rotor that's going around the movement there. Why do you want a peripheral automatic rotor? That is to make the case a little bit thinner, even though this isn't per se a thin watch, as well as to make it so you can see the movement. And the A2000 is decorated in a little bit more of a classic sense as compared to the A1000, was a little bit more modern. Seiko, someone's asking me my opinion of the Seiko MM3. Is that the Marine Master? Is that what people are asking about? I like the Marine Masters. Most of these watches are actually on a strap, but Carla Bucherer does make some really nice bracelets. Really nice bracelets. Someone's asking me about the Longines VHP quartz watches. I will just sort of make the blanket statement that I'm a fan of high-end quartz. They're not all made equally, but the VHPs is considered high-end quartz. If you find a design you like, I think the movement's really great. Seiko Marine Masters are great. I mean, there's the new versions which are nice, the old versions are nice. I get the new ones. I think the new ones have, again, with Seiko, they always upgrade stuff. So the newer the better in a lot of ways. As a sort of like discreet under the radar dress watch, I love this thing. It's got enormous quality to it. It's very heavy. It's not cheap. It's in like the $7,000 range, but it does feel like a $7,000 watch. Someone's asking me about Panerais. I don't have any Panerais in my collection right now. I like Panerai, but to be honest, I kind of can't get over the price. They're pretty expensive for what you get, and there's so many of them. If anything, it's like, okay, if I buy one Panerai, I have no idea which one it's going to be because there's so many flavors. And so what you end up doing is sitting around waiting like, oh, are they going to come out with the one that I like a little bit more? And then you find one you like that's like 20 grand. You're like, it's nice, but is it a 20 grand watch? I don't know. So Panerai is sort of for like a different type of collector than me right now. But I like the idea of Panerai. I think they're beautiful. And I think that they have a great sort of look and wrist presence. But there's other watches out there that can sort of replicate that experience. Not in look, but sort of the big, simple-looking dive watch that you can put a whole host of different straps on that work well. But look, it's a Richemont brand, and they're supposed to be luxury, and it's hard to run Panerai these days. It's really, really hard because think of it this way: the CEO has to make all these people happy. He has to make all the different countries happy. He has to make the Swiss office happy. He has to make the Panerai Italian office happy, and he has to make Richemont, the board, happy. Like that's making so many people happy at the same time. You don't really get to do anything innovative because like someone's not going to like something that you're doing. All right, so I'm going to pull out something kind of fun for a minute here because we're talking about G-Shock. This was a watch I purchased a couple of years ago. This was used. There's a lot of interesting stories about this watch. This was from the 90s. This was one of the Bob Marley watches. And I bought this one. This is sort of the Rastafarian colors. And one of the things that made this watch distinctive and controversial, I'll show you here. So this is an actual stock Casio watch that has a marijuana leaf as part of the backlight. Someone's asking me about German-made watches. Big fan, but on the low end, they're not really what you would call a German watch. It's sort of like they don't have a lot of the rules of like Swiss-made. So there's a lot of like Chinese watches say they're German-made, but that's mostly the low end. So this is the G-Shock from the 90s, and part of the story about this watch was that I think Casio realized at some point what the marijuana leaf meant, and at the time, things like that were quite taboo in Japan. But again, yeah, it's legal in CA now. But remember, this watch is from the 1990s. So Casio apparently recalled some of these, and then right now in the aftermarket, you can see like aftermarket versions of watches that try to replicate this, but there's very few stock ones, and this is actual stock ones. Someone's asked me if I have a price limit for watches. I mean, everyone has a personal price limit. Everyone should set a personal threshold. Everyone should do that. I just love this watch. I love there's 3 little loops here, one for each of the colors. So I don't wear this one very often, but this is one of my cherished ones. The funny thing is, this dial design, I didn't have this exact watch, but I had a watch with this essential dial design all throughout high school. So when I wear this watch, it kind of reminds me of like my high school G-Shock. Wearing this watch is probable cause for what, sir? Probable cause for what? I'm going to put this back in the box. There it goes. That's one of my cherished ones. I love finding, especially in good conditions. Hard to find that in good conditions. Do I go to any of the ADs? All right, listen, guys, you have to remember, I am specially orientated or positioned within the watch industry. I do not operate like normal consumers do because I'm not a normal consumer. I get access and I get privileges that most people don't. So asking me where I buy my watches and price points and things like that, it's not always a fair question because I'll just say I have access to deals and offers that, the average consumer does not. What else do I want to talk about here? We're almost at 50 minutes. I've been promising people I don't go too long on these, though everyone seems to like the length of these episodes. I haven't talked about everything here. What else should I pick up? I guess I'll pick up this watch because it was announced today. Sorry, there's some sirens going by. I'm sure people have been hearing crazy sirens in their cities. Is everyone doing okay out there? It's it's a little wild out there. It's a little crazy. I'm gonna go hiking pretty soon, and it's like the Wild West out there. I think to myself, like, there's gonna be crazy people out here. Should I defend myself? I don't know. So this is a version. This is the old generation of the Seamaster 300M, and this was a limited edition for the Rio Olympics. And you can see there those colors there on the bezel that I thought was lovely. One of the things that I think is stimulating me to talk about this is that the Olympics, the Tokyo Olympics were just delayed. And so I just thinking about, Omega Olympics watches. And this is the only actually Omega Olympics watch I have. And this was my first Seamaster 300M. The new version came out to replace this. It's a little bit larger, nice watch, but these watches were fun. And I really like this limited edition, especially with the colors. This is sort of an underrated watch, the Seamaster 300M. I think it's great that it's coming back right now. Someone is saying that they would go for the modern Omegas. Yeah, I mean, Omega is another one of those brands where you want to get the newest thing possible, a lot of that. Someone's like, make a 36 millimeter of a non-Olympic version of this. Well, good luck with that. Someone's asking me about... I was looking at Oris yesterday, HAL 9000. I have Oris. Do I think Omega will bring out a midsize? I don't know. Maybe. Maybe. Am I a Bond fan? Who's not a Bond fan? Who can't stand behind James Bond? He's one of those characters that has sort of the freedom to do things that most men want to do but can't, like be bulletproof and shoot things and, have romantic success within hours or minutes. What else should I talk about? Oh, this is kind of fun. Speaking of, this is a sort of a Omega themed, if you will. This is an Undone, and this is one of the watches that they did under their Peanuts agreement, and they had a lot of those. So this was there's the Omega Snoopy watches, and this is one of the Undone Snoopy watches, and I just thought these were so well done. These a few $100, really fun. Not expensive. I wore this on Halloween. This is a good Halloween watch. Like for a few $100, I mean, okay, it's quartz, big deal. Hong Kong-based Undone does a lot of good things, and I have a lot of good things to say about them. When they print these dials, they do it inexpensively. They do a lot of custom work for sort of fun watches and bang for your buck. Undone's got a long. You could do a lot worse. You could do a lot worse. And Undone has a lot of options. A lot of options. Someone asked me, do I really buy all these watches? I did try to explain a little bit about my unique position in the market. If you don't know, I am a professional watch reviewer, and I've been doing this full-time since 2009, and I started this in 2007. So I'm just a little bit of a unique character. Don't judge your watch collection against mine. I'm just special. I don't talk about the size of my collection. I don't do any of that. I just like to. This series is actually one of the first times that I've gone into my collection. Not all these watches are always mine. Some of them are mine. Some of them are ones that we might be loaning or things like that. I don't necessarily want to get too specific all the time. I just sort of like showing you sort of what's around, because it's one of those things where, forget the security risk issue. I don't want to make people feel bad or self-conscious or something like that, because with watches, you can do that. You can be like, oh, hey, guys, this is a nice little, $40,000 watch. If you like it, you should get it too. Well, that's not something that most people can do. That's really not something that most people can do. So I'm just in a little bit different position given my ability to have access to the stuff. Do I have any Mito watches? I don't know if I have a Mito watch. I do like... I think is it the Ocean Star or whatever it is, their dive watches. Some of those are really nice, actually. So this watch is the latest version of the Ball Engineer Hydrocarbon. They call it the original. And I actually believed that Ball was using the same framework as the hydrocarbon from years ago. And you know what? They're not. Because I have an older version of the hydrocarbon, and they put them side by side, and I was like, oh, Ball is just changing the bezel and the dial. No, the entire case, even though it looks similar, is different. Different sizes, different proportions. They change things up. Someone's asking about my favorite micro brands. There's just too many. Thank you for complimenting my balls. Actually, I think it's funny because there's the Engineer Master, and so I like talking about my Ball Master watch. Got a bunch of Ball Masters. This watch had these double extensions, so each side of the clasp had an extension right there. Okay, so what's the big deal with this watch? Well, if you want me to nerd out for a little minute here, and then I'll end the show. Tritium gas tubes is sort of a core theme of all the Ball watches, but doesn't look very tritium-y. If you look at the hands there, you'll see tritium gas tubes, but this watch uses a new kind of construction and a flat gas tube. So this actually has a sandwich style dial with flat gas tubes underneath. And so you have tritium in the bezel as well as in the dial, but it doesn't look like tritium. And I think that's fantastic. Someone is calling me the most down-to-earth workaholic. I am a workaholic, and I do my best to... I'm just authentic with you guys. I don't watch a lot of their content. I'm told that there's all these people doing videos online about watches, and there's other blogs and stuff. I mean, I don't know. I see through a lot of these people. A lot of it's junk. I feel bad for some of you guys, because if you're trying to get into watches and you see what these guys are recommending to you or their personalities or where they're talking. I don't know. There's a bunch of yahoos out there. I just roll my eyes constantly. I don't advocate for people to get into the sort of cult of personality which happens here. I just say, learn about watches, study what you like, buy what you like. Exposure and experience is the only way that you are going to develop. Listen to people like me to help you understand how to understand a watch, how to learn about new watches. Let me help you discover new things, but do not buy something because I or anyone else tells you about it. Yes, when I review this watch, there is going to be a lume shot. At night, it looks great. Actually, on my Instagram, which is aRiel2Watch, I posted a lume shot of this a couple of days ago. Other good watch channel. So my friend Tim Masso at Watchbox, he is someone who, again, we're friends, so I guess I'm a little bit biased, but his stuff is really good because he talks about it kind of in the same way. We're obviously different. We have different personalities and some different tastes, but I can stand behind the way he talks about watches because he helps you get excited about the watch and the story of the watch. Before we end this, I just want to talk about spring lock. So spring lock is a technology which is in this. So what Ball does is they heavily modify the 2836, the ETA 2836 movement. And so the minutes hand here is covering it here. Tim likes green. I like green too. I'm going to compete for it now. So this is a 2836, but it's heavily modified. It's also a chronometer. And spring lock is a little cage which goes over the balance spring and prevents it from moving around too much if the watch is subject to vibration. And the vibration can cause errors in the rate results. And so what Ball found out, this is when they were working with Philippe Anti, who used to work at Rolex, he went ahead and determined that if you have this little cage around the balance spring and there's vibrations, it actually reduces the errors. And so this is one of the watches, and it's not all Ball watches, it's only certain ones has spring lock in there. So that's sort of another nerdy thing. Okay, guys, this has been Downtime 2020. This has been episode 5. It is March 24th. I'm just going to continue to keep doing these. If you guys have questions or specific things you want to see, I'll do my best. I really appreciate everyone taking the time, the comments, the likes. Thank you so much, everyone. Take care out there. Take care of yourself. Get out, get some exercise. Keep yourself mentally sharp, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye.